Today's video, gents, a little bit different. I want to share with you my story of getting fired, not being able to find a job, going through a bankruptcy, going through some tough times. I know for me, this was one of the darkest times of my life, going through this couple years in which I didn't really know if I was going to make it, how we were going to make this happen. So I want to share with you this story because hopefully you're able to gain some insight, maybe just know that you're not alone in going through these struggles. You ready? Let's do it. So the story starts back in 2004, and I had just left the United States Marine Corps. I was living in Ukraine with my fiance at the time, and her parents were wondering, what in the world is this guy going to do? So I decided, you know what? I am going to go to business school. I got accepted to the University of Texas in 2004, ended up going in 2005, and it was tough because I left my son and I left my wife back in Ukraine, and I said, you know what, for 2 years, I'm going to make this happen. I'm going to study hard. I learned a lot in theory about business, but one thing I did pick up on is that these people were here to get great jobs. So at business school, what you see is all these people applying to get internships and eventually jobs with these high-end companies, Goldman Sachs, McKinsey, Bain, and I really felt behind the power curve because I didn't understand how any of this worked. And my internship that year, I didn't want to spend away from my son or my wife. So I went back to Ukraine. I kind of designed my own thing, but basically I didn't make any money. And I was really worried as to what I was going to do in 2007 when I'm graduating because I didn't have a job lined up. So I was at a party and a friend of mine, he introduced me to some family friends that owned a business up in Wisconsin. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go up there and give a presentation and see where this goes. They were interested in speaking with me, and I moved myself. I bought a house, and I committed to working for these guys for 3 years to help turn the company around. And it turned out to be a pretty good offer. I was going to get 10% of the company. I worked like a dog for the first 3 months, 10 to 12 hours a day, 6 days a week. But I felt that I was investing in this company. And by the way, the company was an interesting one. They made wet wipes. Yes, the ones that you use to wipe your ass. That didn't excite me, but what did excite me is the fact that they were making these other wipes. This one was for camera lenses, and I was into photography at the time, so I thought I knew how much photographers were willing to pay to be able to keep their lenses and take good care of them. They also had this other company that they were working with making these wipes that smelt like dirt. Now, here's how it worked is that if you're a hunter, you don't want your gear to have a smell to it. So you would actually wipe down yourself and all of your gear to smell really bad so that, yeah, you wouldn't basically give off this scent that would scare the deer. I'm excited. I'm trying to make all this stuff happen, coming up with all these new ideas and theories, and I call up a meeting. I'm like, hey, it's been 3 months. I want to tell you guys where I'm at, where I'm excited about, where we're going to go. I remember this day. I called up the meeting, had the 3 owners come into this meeting, and in that meeting, they fired me. I did not see this coming. I really thought, I'm like, oh my gosh, like what in the world just happened? I'm going to share with you guys where I was fired, about 15 meters right over here. Here's the factory. Here's the exact place where I was fired back in late 2007. I had this crazy idea that you could go online and you could create content and people would find you, that we should be blogging, that we should sell directly to the customer. I went in there with all of these ideas and they didn't see it. I remember being shocked. Then that shock turned into anger. Who were these people that would do this, that were so stupid that they couldn't see the future? You know, that anger then turned to fear because I didn't know how. My family was moving. In fact, 3 weeks I was supposed to go pick them up, and we were taking a trip over to Croatia, a vacation. How could I afford this? I started reaching out, looking for other jobs, couldn't get anything. I was so embarrassed that I did not tell my wife what was going on. I thought, gosh, I've got to find a way to get myself out of this hole. I just didn't tell anybody until I got over to Ukraine, and I just sat her down and I said, I'm bringing you to this country, bringing you to the United States. I don't have a job anymore. I don't know what I'm going to do. I was panicking. I thought she may leave me, but you know what? She didn't. She said, hey, we're going to find a way. We're going to take this trip. We're going to enjoy our vacation, and you'll figure things out. And she was exactly right. And if you're watching this video, you are not defined by what happens to you, especially in circumstances you can't control. I know a lot of you guys have lost your job because, of what's going on right now in the world. But here's the thing. There is opportunity out there. My wife said, you know what? You have these ideas for all these other businesses. How about we look at this, like come up with some ideas. And that's when in Croatia, I jumped online and I saw that there were these companies selling custom suits online. And I knew that this was something I was really interested in because I had bought my first custom suits when I was in Ukraine, whenever I was at business school. And I was just fascinated by the idea. I thought, okay, I calmed down. And I realized that there was something else out there. So I founded my first company in 2007. We returned to the United States, and I spent what little money I had trying to build a website, a tailored suit. You can Google it. It's still out there. But that business did not succeed. I'll tell you, I put my heart and soul, my wife put her heart and soul into trying to make that company a go for 3 years. And at one point, we had $100,000 a month coming into that business, but we had $105,000 going out in expenses. And I can tell you that doesn't scale. And we realized how bad this was when I was, hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt, and I had to declare bankruptcy because I couldn't figure out a way out of this thing. But here's the thing, is because I'd already been fired, because we'd already gone through all this tough times, the bankruptcy actually wasn't as bad as I thought. I mean, it was embarrassing. It was tough. But I realized, you know what? There are some amazing things coming out of this. One is that we actually were getting traffic to the website. I realized I was good at creating content. I actually enjoyed writing and talking to people about men's style. So maybe there's an opportunity here. I started writing for this blog called The Art of Manliness. You probably heard, or you've seen some of my articles over there. And Brett loved my stuff. In fact, he was telling me, Tony, what you're writing here, this is getting some of the best traffic on the website. Please keep giving it to me. I created my own blog, not only at a tailored suit, but also at a new website called Real Men, Real Style. You maybe heard of it, but I didn't like to write. What I liked to do was create video. And I saw this guy, Aaron Marino, making these videos. I'm like, you know what? I can make videos better than this guy. I started just making all these videos out. I said, you know what? I'm going to do at least 100. I'm going to give it a good shot. And I ended up making 200 videos. And guess what? I got 1 million views on these 200 videos. It took me a full year to do it, but my goodness, we were getting all this traffic. And then I started talking with Aaron. Aaron became my friend. And I kept making these videos, and he said, you know what? You should actually charge people money for the advertising on the videos. I'm like, they're really going to pay? And so I had a shoe company, Paul Evans, my first sponsor ever. I said, you know what? $3,000, and I'll do this second video, because I had already done one video for him, and he had asked me immediately to do another one. He paid that within minutes of me sending him this invoice. And I knew right then, I've got a business. I started selling courses. I started teaching men how to dress better. And we started making thousands of dollars with these courses, these little ebooks that were selling for like $47, $97, $200. Gentlemen, all of a sudden, these wins started coming. Now, I'm not going to lie. It took me years to figure this stuff out. But I had people, I had family, I had friends that were around me supporting me. I gave myself runway. I lived in this small town, and I didn't have a whole lot of expenses. To this day, my monthly expenses are just over $2,000. I got the same truck that I've had for 22 years. I buy all my cars now cash. My house is paid for. Why? Because for me, going through that bankruptcy, it really branded me that if I can't pay cash for it, I can't afford it. And I'm just very, very frugal. With Aaron, I created the conference Menfluential. I created the media company Menfluential, which went on to become incredibly profitable and my most successful business ever. Real Men, Real Style. We kept making these videos. All of a sudden, we're getting 20 million visitors, 100 million visitors. I'm passing 1,000 videos, 1,500 videos. We had our first $1 million year. Then we had our second $1 million year, our third $1 million year. It is been something that, because of everything we did, because of getting fired, I am not working at this factory making butt wipes. It's like, if these guys would not have fired me, I wouldn't be making these videos right now. I wouldn't have been able to connect with millions of men around the world and have been able to teach so many guys how to tuck in their shirts, how to roll their shirt sleeves, how to become the man they know themselves to be. Diamonds are formed because of heat and pressure. Think about Gandhi. That guy, if he hadn't have been mistreated in South Africa, he would have probably gone on to be a very successful lawyer. But it was getting kicked off that train, being treated like crap again and again in South Africa, for him to see, I'm going to make change here. He lived in South Africa, I think, for 21 years, honing his craft and learning about basically how to work. It was civil, peaceful, disobedience, and being able to go in there. And then he took that to India and transformed the world. You getting fired you losing your job, you not being able to find work, what is this going to do to you? Is it going to be something that you're going to retreat into your shell, that you are going to become bitter and hatred, or are you going to become the man you know yourself to be? Are you going to buckle down? Are you going to invest in your education? Are you going to read those books? Are you going to watch those videos? Are you going to go through and do the reps to improve your body, to improve your mind, to go out there and finally start that company that you've wanted to start? Get that nonprofit off the ground. Do what you want to do with your life. Gentlemen, I invite you to do the latter, to not fall into the hatred, to not fall into the trap, which it's very easy. All of us have gone through it. And instead, to find a way to realize your true potential and to become the man you know yourself to be. Now, gents, I'm going to ask a favor of you. If you've lost your job, if you've lost your business, if you're scared about losing your job, I want to hear from you down in the comments. Because you see, when you share pain, when you let other people know what's going on, all of a sudden they don't feel alone, because there are millions of people out there right now who have lost their job, have been fired for no good reason, have been laid off, are collecting unemployment, and they aren't feeling too good about themselves. They can't even find a job, and yet they were in demand and they've got just a great degree. And this is something that really can affect our self-esteem. But when you share with others what's going on and you let them know that they're not alone, it forms deeper connections, and it doesn't depress other people. It actually makes them feel better, that they know that they're not alone out there. And I'll tell you, here at Real Men Real Style, we're doing okay, but we definitely, I'll tell you, profits are down significantly. It's not something I'm going to have to lay people off, but I have asked people on my team to take a pay cut. I took a significant pay cut. It's something that, hey, ad revenue is down. But this right here is bringing us closer together. And I know that many of you guys out there are suffering, are going through this tough time. You guys know I love you. I care about you. You are important. This depression, this recession, whatever's going to happen, this is not going to define you. This is going to be part of your legend. This is going to be part of your story. 30 years from now, when you're telling your kids about how you went off to be able to find your calling in life, you went off to be able to do great things, this is going to be one of those points that sets you off. And this is going to be something we're going to look back on, and we are going to be proud of the way we recovered, the way that we reacted and dealt with the current situation. So guys, let me hear from you down in the comments.